Happy New Year. I'm Shelby Williams with Plano City Council. Now, I'm coming to you from a backup tripod because over the holidays, my little girl was trying to record a home movie. She made out a little play and everything, and she was acting it out, and she broke the tripod. So I would like to say that there were no tripods harmed in the making of that film, but sadly that would be untrue. So moving on to our first City Council meeting of the year. Tonight, just going through these in order, there were no real contentious big items. In the preliminary open meeting, we discussed a settlement for the fire training facility issue regarding the materials there. Now, we did discuss pretty much enforcement of an existing ordinance for utilities. A move it or we'll move it for you. So oftentimes when we have road work, which I know none of you have noticed going on around Plano, there are utilities that need to be moved as part of that, whether that's gas lines, electric lines, etc. And so the most prominent example we had was that it cost us an extra $200,000, because the utility company could not get their stuff moved in a timely fashion. So this is a provision where and we're usually giving years notice to the utility companies, where from the time we say they need them to move it, they move it in 90 days or we move it for them. And we don't sit around waiting forever. So that's the move it or we'll move it for you. At least that's what I'm calling it. I think it's kind of got a catchy ring to it. So that's what I'm going to go with. And then we reviewed the Cultural Arts Commission grant update recommendations. Now the grants use the hotel occupancy tax, affectionately referred to as HOT, because the taxes taken in from the hotel taxes, they can only go to specific purposes, but promotion of the arts and tourism is one of them. Moving on to the regular meeting, we established TIRZ 5. TIRZ stands for Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone. This is basically where growth in an area that increases the property tax takes an increment of the new property tax value based on the development. Property value increases, that comes with it a tax increase. So the increment of that tax increase, or at least a portion thereof, can be used to reinvest in the area. So this was a new TIRZ, Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone, around the EDS campus and it's not just the EDS campus itself, it's the part of the surrounding area so that the whole area can benefit from the life sciences hub. And this did not discuss how the money will be used. At Councilman Riccadelli's suggestion, we did put on a future agenda an item to discuss excess tax increments and how they would be used. We then had a subdivision ordinance update for platting procedures for properties with zoning variances from minimum yards. There will be a quiz on this later, so make sure you got that. Basically, we made it a little less onerous for some individuals who are doing redevelopment on a property, a residential property, and removed a bit of the hardship involved and some of the hoops to jump through. We streamlined it to basically avoid having to replat when only a variance was required. Moving right along to the modification of off-street parking requirements. Long story short, as almost everybody knows, Plano is built out now. So we don't have a lot of new development, but we have a lot of redevelopment. So sometimes when we're redeveloping an area, the new development, especially if it's just an improvement to an existing development, doesn't conform necessarily now to the requirements back in the day. And so basically for the off-street parking requirements, we're going to allow variances of up to a 10% reduction of the off-street parking required by approval of the planning director, and up to a 20% variance with approval of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Next was modification of development standards on 7.1 acres in a this is on the northeast side of 15th and Independence. It's currently zoned Planned Development Neighborhood Office. So these are pretty much one-story office buildings. And for whatever reason, it's a mystery. We don't know. This dates back to 1977. The required minimum minimum development area was, or maximum development area was exceeded. And nobody knows why, but basically this is backing into compliance for that planned development district. So we're basically, they were out of compliance. A bunch of these buildings were out of compliance. And again, nobody knows why this happened, but rather than risk creating future problems from current non-compliant buildings that have been non-compliant for decades, we're going to back into compliance and move the goalposts to say, nope, you are now in compliance. That's really the long and the short of it. The next item I'm genuinely excited about. This is for a new Porsche dealership at the southwest corner of Tollway and Tennyson. Now, I'm not excited about it because I drive a Porsche, or I'm not even particularly a Porsche fan. Sorry, no offense to the new dealership there. But this concept is a multi-story concept with both the showroom and the parking garage as separate but attached buildings. And it's trying to make best use of a smaller footprint to go vertical. So the showroom is going to be 2 stories, the parking garage is going to be 5 stories, and it is intended to be a destination. So it's not just, for Porsches, you don't have a Porsche, dealership next to every Starbucks. So I'm excited about the concept of creating a dealership in this fashion, and I'm looking forward to seeing it become a reality. Again, that's going to be on the southwest corner of the Tollway in Tennyson. Now, the last item that we reviewed, we discussed this last time in preliminary open, but is to hire legislative consulting services. That means a paid lobbyist to lobby the Texas legislature so that Plano can be one of the named cities that can engage in qualified hotel projects. What this really means for us is the ability to recoup taxes for these hotel projects. There are only certain named cities to whom this applies. So in by state statute, only certain cities can do this. So this item is to lobby the legislature to add Plano to that list in the next legislative session. Now, I like the idea of being able to add Plano to that list in the next legislative session. We potentially stand to gain millions of dollars from this. However, it is using taxpayer funds to lobby the legislature, and I am passionately opposed to the use of taxpayer funds to lobby the legislature. I have supported efforts to ban taxpayer-funded lobbying in the state for the past several sessions, and so I did vote against this item, as did Councilman Riccadelli. We were overruled. The price tag associated with this for the lobbyist is $126,300. Now, again, the ROI on this is potentially very good. It could be worth up to potentially several $1 million for the city. So that would be a good ROI, but again, it's the principle of using taxpayer money to pay a lobbyist. So I said I will volunteer myself to lobby the legislature, which is the way I believe it should be done. That me, as your elected official at the city level, should be interfacing with the state legislature at the state level on your behalf, because we all serve you. So that was it for tonight, and we will have another meeting this month, and then 2 the month after. Kind of goes like clockwork like that. So I'm Shelby Williams with Plano City Council. Happy New Year. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, and God bless.